Hey everyone, it is Andrew here from AppleInsider. And if you were anything like me, you were overwhelmed with the number of iPhone 12 rumors that are just hitting the headlines, especially when it comes to the timeline of Apple's new phone. Now, we've already touched on what the iPhone 12 is likely to look like. We're talking about the original iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Max, the iPhone 12 Pro, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. There's a lot there, but we already covered this in a different video. We've covered the rumors, we've literally covered these hands-on models of what the new phone is going to look like. But we haven't touched on, and what is really bringing people to ask a lot of questions, is the timeline for the iPhone 12. So that's what we are going to hit in this video, making sense of the iPhone 12 timeline and when you can expect to actually see Apple's new phone. Okay, so here we go. Now at AppleInsider, we've been compiling these rumors for months now, pretty much years. They've been talking about these different phones, especially the iPhone 12 bringing 5G and all those other great features. So we have a ton to tackle, but to make it a little easier, a little bit more palatable in this video, we're only going to go over the most recent rumors because obviously things change a lot. And it was the beginning of this year that coronavirus really started to take hold on the US and abroad, and that made a lot of changes to Apple's timeline. So anything that we heard a year ago or even 8 months ago is likely not even relevant anymore. So let's go ahead and tackle these. We've got our list, we have everything kind of to break down, so let's talk about them. So the first one we want to talk about is back in February of this year. We got an analyst note saying that iPhone 12 was likely to be delayed because Apple has stopped sending its employees, its engineers over to China. Now as Apple approaches the ending of the iPhone 12 kind of development cycle, it gets to the point where it's going through tooling and verification and all those tests. So at the end of that cycle, it's very important getting this thing out on time. And in February, it seems Apple stopped sending its employees over to China because of the coronavirus threat there. So that was the first, not the first, but one of the first things that we saw that was really going to make an impact to the iPhone 12 not shipping on time. Now with Apple's employees not going over there, things definitely seem like they are going to be slipping. But in April, we got a report that's saying Foxconn itself was actually saying the iPhone 12 was on track to launch as planned. So that shed a little bit of light on it. People were excited the iPhone 12 was going to be launching the normal September timeframe, but that optimism soon faded. Only a week or so after, we got Wall Street Journal saying the iPhone 12 is likely to ship in the same timeframe as the iPhone 10. The iPhone 10 shipped out in November, beginning of November when it dropped in 2017. So if the iPhone 12 is on that same cycle, we could see that same time frame launching or releasing in early November. Ming-Chi Kuo also doubled down on that, saying that the iPhone 12 range should be in the final engineering and verification test. But the laboratories that do these tests are actually closed. So if those laboratories are closed for final verification and testing and everything like that, that's definitely going to make an impact on the iPhone 12 getting out on time. Kuo himself said the iPhone 12 was delayed a month. So if it normally releases in September timeframe, we're looking at October, but if it's the end of September, we're looking at the end of October, beginning of November. So again, the same timeframe as the iPhone 10. Then in mid-May, we got a rumor from John Prosser, who has been very accurate in recent times, especially when it comes to MacBook news. He is saying that the iPhone event has been moved to the middle of October. So if the iPhone event is shifting to October, then again, same time frame of launching or being announced in October and then shipping a few weeks later in the beginning of November. That really makes sense. Apple likes to do that 2-week cycle where they kind of announce it on Tuesday or Wednesday, then it goes for pre-orders that Friday and then shipping 2 weeks after that. So if this was in mid-October, we could see it announced then, pre-orders that Friday, and then shipping 2 weeks later at the beginning of November. In the beginning of June, we got another report, this one from Digitimes, saying that sources in the supply chain say that the iPhone 12 was ready to start production very soon, and that is mid-July. So normally, Apple gets these things in production at the beginning of July or so this may be a little bit later than normal, but not far off if that report is true. So that's another good sign for the iPhone launching at least this year, hopefully not far off from its original intended deadline, beginning of October. So while the iPhone getting into production in July is a very good sign, we got another negative coming from Broadcom CEO. The Broadcom chief actually said that a revenue bump that was expected in the one quarter is actually being pushed to a different quarter, being pushed 1 quarter behind. the Broadcom chief actually cited a major product delay cycle at a large North American mobile phone customer as cause for the delayed income. So what does that sound like? That sounds like a major North American mobile phone maker, Apple, has to delay their product, and it's going to push that revenue that Broadcom was going to get a month behind or a quarter behind going into next year rather than the end of this year. Moving to the end of June, UBS analyst Timothy Arcuri said Apple may split the iPhone launch with the triple camera iPhones and time-of-flight sensors in millimeter wave likely to launch later. So that could mean that we're going to see some iPhone 12 models available early, and then the more powerful, the more impressive phones, the more complicated engineering difficult phones to be launching later. So we could see maybe an iPhone 12 and 12 Max launching at the end of this year, and maybe the 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max launching a little bit later. I certainly hope that's not the case, as I'm looking at that 12 Pro or that 12 Pro Max, and I really don't want to see those ones delayed even further than the iPhone 12 line already is. Then at the end of June, pretty much the last day of June, we got another report from supply chain sources that say Apple was cutting component parts by up to 50%. Now that sounds daunting. It sounds like Apple is really expecting demand for this phone to fall, which is kind of incredible because everyone's expecting a super cycle this year because of the 5G support. So that was very kind of ominous, but it makes sense. If Apple is delaying the phone a bit by a few weeks or a month, that could be pushing a lot of those sales into next year, especially if they're constrained at the beginning. They may be cutting those component parts, not because they're expecting weakened demand, but because they're not going to be selling it as much in 2020 versus 2021. So that could just be another sign that Apple has to push the iPhone 12 launch just a little bit further behind. Finally, at the beginning of July, supply chain sources told Nikkei Asian Review that Apple is looking to bring its engineers back. So engineers have went back to Apple Park, they have started work again, and they are really pushing their supply chain to get things out sooner rather than later, which is a good sign. Based on this, Apple is looking to move its timetables further than it was before. So even though everything before this said everything was delayed, maybe things into 2021, this last rumor saying things might be moving up a little bit. Now, we ultimately don't know what's going to happen with the new iPhone 12s. We can only hope that they make it out this year, but the most recent rumors say that Apple is looking to get things kickstarted with an event in October and releasing the first phones in early November. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down below in the comments and reach out to me on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. Let me know which iPhone 12 you are looking to pick up. Did you guys like that video? Be sure to click on that like button so we can create content that we know that you guys want to see. And follow AppleInsider on all social media channels. If you want the best prices on any Apple gear, check out the AppleInsider price guide that is updated daily. And until next time, we'll see you later.